This is the case of Hunter William Scott Meyers, and I just want to give a disclaimer that this was a very hard video to do. She left me this comment this morning, and I've spent all day sitting here trying to decide what the best way to word things would be and the best way to be sensitive in this video. And the truth is, this was a 10-year-old child whose life was tragically and viciously taken from him. There's no good way to do this video. However, Hunter has no videos. Nobody has covered his case that I can find. I could be wrong, but I couldn't find them other than the videos that his mother Dorothy have done and news outlets. It is an honor to me that Dorothy reached out to me and asked me to cover this case. I want to give this baby the light he deserves. People need to know who he was and what was done to him, and that's exactly what we're going to do. This is sweet little baby Hunter. In all the photos and videos that I've seen, Hunter looks like the sweetest child that you have ever seen. Hunter was born August 23rd, 2013, and his life was tragically taken from him August 1st of this year, 2024. On the night that this incident occurred, Hunter had went to spend the night with his cousin and best friend James at his grandmother's house. Now, from what I can understand, this was not Hunter's biological grandmother. It was a friend of the family who Dorothy had been friends with and close with for around 28 years. She was so close to them that she referred to this woman as Hunter's grandmother, and James, the 13-year-old that he went to spend the night with, was referred to as Hunter's cousin and best friend. Now, from what I read, the house in which Hunter was going to spend the night at was only about 2 houses down from Dorothy's home, so it was just like any other night. Now, unbeknownst to Dorothy, 13-year-old James had been gifted a hunting knife in which he was allowed to keep in his room, where he had full access to it anytime that he wanted. I don't know if anyone outside the home knew this, but Dorothy certainly did not. Sometime during the night, Hunter had been asleep, and James got up, retrieved the hunting knife, and began to attack Hunter. Hunter was stabbed either 20 times or over 20 times. There was conflicting reports on that. And his body was not found until the next morning at 6 a.m. When police arrived on scene, Hunter was already gone, and they immediately noticed that James had blood on his feet and had wounds on his hands. 13-year-old James was taken in for questioning, where he immediately admitted to the stabbing of 10-year-old Hunter, and there was no motive, I don't even think that's the right word, ever given. There was no argument. There was no reason for this to happen. Nobody knows why it happened. James Campbell is 13 years old, but he will be tried as an adult. He's being tried for murder, first degree, and criminal homicide. I thought that was the same thing. Apparently it's not. This is in Pennsylvania, so it could be different from where I'm from. Now, there are a couple of details that I want to include that were absolutely heartbreaking to me. Number one, Hunter was a very tall little boy, so he was 10 inches too tall for a child-sized casket. They had to put him in an adult casket. He was scared of the dark, so there's a video where Dorothy was asking for opinions on some lights that she could put in his casket that would allow him to have some light. And what was heartbreaking to me was that Dorothy had requested that they be able to hold Hunter's hand one last time, and they were unable to grant that wish. The only thing that they thought they were going to be able to uncover was his face. I'm not sure if they were actually able to do anything more than that, but apparently he also had some wounds on his face that had to be reconstructed, and the funeral home said that they didn't care if it took all night and day. They would work around the clock to give this family the ability to see their baby one last time. I had a really hard time researching this case and looking into this case, because you can feel the pure pain that Dorothy has felt throughout this entire thing. I could not imagine. It seems unreal that something like this could happen to a 10-year-old, especially when done by a 13-year-old. It's cruel. It's horrendous. It's awful. There is a GoFundMe. Please go to Dorothy's channel, and she has other videos about Hunter. She has videos that kind of documents how she was feeling as she was going through it. She explains some things, and there is a Cash App in her bio so that you can donate to this family. Please do so, because As a mom, I have a 3-year-old. She's nowhere near the age of 10. But I cannot imagine losing a child in this manner. I did a pretty good job holding it together while the video was going on. However, this was a really, really hard video. This was very hard to hear the details of this case. But if this family has to feel it, then I think other people should too. This was something that could massively impact the way that we look at our children in the mental health crisis. It's something that could give a lot of people the insight as to what could happen and why it's so important to watch how your children are developing when they start to go into those teenage years. And I noticed at the beginning of this, Dorothy called for compassion for James, even though James is the one that took her child's life. However, I did see in a later video, she's no longer calling for compassion, and she no longer calls the woman whose house Hunter had went to her family. She just calls them her neighbors. All in all, I have nothing but positive thoughts for your family, Dorothy. For you, I know that you have other kids that you have to be strong for, but I cannot imagine the mental burden and the emotional burden that you have been put through in the last couple of months. And you are undoubtedly one of the strongest people that I have came across. And I'm so sorry that you have to be strong, because no mother should have to be put through what you've been put through.